Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Apni Pathshala. So today I am going to start the second chapter of Moments, the Adventures of Toto. So let's see what are the mischievous things Toto had done after getting attached with the author's family. The author is Ruskin Bond. So let's see more about the story. Have you ever had a baby monkey as a pet? Toto is a baby monkey. Let's find out whether he is mischievous or docile. So, I don't know much about all the students, but it was my wish, or you can say my dream, to have a monkey as my pet, because I like monkey very much. Their innocence, their face, actually these things attracted me from my childhood, and I have also asked my father that whether we can have a monkey as a pet or not, but he also told me that yes, you can have, once you grow up then you can have, but they never told me about the um, about the mischiefs of the monkeys. When I grow up and when I come to know that the monkeys actually snatch things from people's, and they eat anything they want, they destroy everything, then likewise my wish also got dumped. But now also, if somebody tells me that take care of this pet monkey, then I am ready to take care of it, because I love baby animals so much. Like from human kids to all the baby animals, I like all of them very much, and I know uh, though their innocence are very attractive, that they can get anyone's eye. So I don't know why, but I like them. And if any one of you like pet monkey, then please let me know in the comments. We can have a genuine talk about that. So let's come to the story. Grandfather bought Toto from a Tonga driver for the sum of 5 rupees. The Tonga driver used to keep the little red monkey tied to a feeding trough, and the monkey looked so out of place there that grandfather decided he would add the little fellow to his private zoo. So the grandfather of Ruskin Bond brought Toto from a Tonga driver for the sum of 5 rupees. Means he has brought him by giving the Tonga driver 5 rupees, and the Tonga driver used to keep this little red monkey tied to a feeding trough. So the meaning of feeding trough is the kind of container which is used for feeding animals. The monkey was very small, so it needed only a small container to keep it, so that's why the Tonga driver used that feeding trough. And Tonga here means a horse cart. Many of us have seen, and also many of us have gone a ride for in the horse cart also. So the monkey looked so out of place there that grandfather decided that he would add this little fellow to his private zoo. So the monkey was not so happy with the Tonga driver, because the Tonga driver generally kept him inside the container. So how he can be happy, because all the animals, they know their the way of freedom. We as human beings also know the way of freedom, so they can also know, and they feel sad when someone tries to, or forcefully tries to keep them in a container, like somebody feels in jail. So grandfather decided that he would add this little fellow to his private zoo. So the author's grandfather has a private zoo where many animals are kept. We will know more about those animals in the story later on. So his grandfather decided to take Toto and add him to his private zoo. Toto was a pretty monkey. His bright eyes sparkled with mischief beneath deep-set eyebrows, and his teeth, which were pearly white, were often displayed in a smile that frightened the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies. But his hands looked dried up as though they had been pickled in the sun for many years. Yet his fingers were quick and wicked, and his tail, while adding to his good looks, grandfather believed the tail would add to anyone's good looks, also served as a third hand. He could use it to hang from a branch, and it was capable of scooping up any delicacy that might be out of reach of his hands. So this paragraph is generally the whole description of Toto. Toto was a very pretty monkey. He has bright eyes sparkled with mischief beneath deep set eyebrows. Like his eyebrows were very deep and very thick, and beneath that there are eyes full of mischiefs, and his teeth also pearly white, means the teeth are very bright that it attracted most of the people. And when he often smiled, the Anglo-Indian ladies got frightened with his smile. But his hands are so dried up as if they were pickled in the sun. So we have seen the hands of a monkey. They are actually like the reddish blackish red color, so as if they are dried up in the sun, and his hands were also like that. Yet his fingers were weak and quick and wicked, means from his fingers we can know that how much mischievous and how much quick he is, and his tail adding to his good looks. So the author's grandfather thought that someone's tail add to their good looks, and the tail complete their look properly. It is his thinking, but it looks very funny if we all have tails and it add to our good looks. And also it served as a third hand. So here the third hand refers to that he has two hands and he does everything with his two hands, but the tail served as the third hand, and he used it much more than his hands to do all the mischievous things. He would used to hang it from a branch, and it was capable of scooping up any delicacy that might be out of reach of his hands. Means when he used to climb in a branch, then he used to hang his tail in the branch, and then with his hands he used to lift all the things from the nearby areas, and used to play with them. That means he is not using his hands to hang from the branch. He is using his tail and his hands for doing all other works. Grandmother always fussed when grandfather brought home some new bird or animal. So it was decided that Toto's present should be kept a secret from her until she was in a particularly good mood. Grandfather and I put him away in a little closet opening into my bedroom wall, where he was tied securely, or so we thought, to a peg fastened into the wall. A few hours later, when grandfather and I came back to release Toto, we found that the walls, which had been covered with some ornamental paper chosen by grandfather, now stood out as naked brick and plaster. The peg in the wall had been wrenched from its socket, and my school blazer, which had been hanging there, was in shreds. I wondered that grandmother would say, but grandfather didn't worry. He seemed pleased with Toto's performance. "He is clever," said grandfather. "Given time, I am sure he could have tied the torn pieces of your blazer into a rope and made his escape from the window." So, whenever the author's grandfather brought new animal or bird to their house, then his grandmother generally fussed his grandfather, because she actually didn't like any of those pets, because the man of a family bring all the things, and the women of the family has to take care of all the essentials, whether it is their choice or not. So his grandmother generally used to get irritated if his grandfather brought some new animals. So when his grandfather brought Toto, then they thought of keeping it a secret from his grandmother, and to let her know when she was in a good mood. So they kept Toto in a little closet opening in the author's bedroom wall, where he was tied securely to a peg fastened into the wall. Means he was tied with a hook. Peg means hook. A few hours later, when grandfather and the author came back to release Toto, they found that the walls, which were covered with some ornamental papers chosen by grandfather, now stood out as naked brick and plaster. C means the wall was full of designs with ornamental papers, and now it is only the brick and plaster they could see. So it is all done by Toto. He had teared all the pieces of the papers and made them into a rope, and then went off from the window. The peg in the wall had been wrenched from its sockets, and the school blazers which had been hanging their virgin strings, means from the hook through which Toto was tied, there was the author's school blazer also. So it is in shreds, means it is in pieces, means there are nothing left but only pieces of the blazers. And also the socket, the peg in the wall is broken from its socket. The the author wondered that grandmother would say, but grandfather didn't worry, because he was very pleased with Toto's performance, because he wanted to see the clever and the mischievous nature of Toto, because he was waiting for that. But that doesn't mean that he will ruin everything and destroy every piece of paper or clothes like the author's blazer. His grandfather said that he is clever, and given time he could have tied the torn pieces of the author's blazer into a rope and made his escape from the window. His presence in the house still a secret, Toto was now transferred into a big cage in the servants' quarter, where a number of grandfather's pets lived very sociably together. A tortoise, a pair of rabbits, a tame squirrel, and for a while my pet goat. But the monkey would not allow any of his companions to sleep at night. So grandfather, who had to leave Dehradun next day to collect his pension in Saharanpur, decided to take him along. So his presence was still a secret, and now Toto was transferred to a big cage in the servants' quarter, where a number of pets which was collected by the author's grandfather are kept together. There was a tortoise, a pair of rabbits, a tame squirrel, and for a while the author's pet goat. But the monkey would not allow any of his companions to sleep at night. So grandfather, who was leaving for Dehradun the next day to collect his pension from Saharanpur, had to take him along. Unfortunately, I could not accompany grandfather on that trip, but he told me about it afterwards. A big black canvas kit bag was provided for Toto. This, with some straw at the bottom, became his new abode. Abode means here home. When the bag was closed, there was no escape. Toto could not get his hands through the opening, and the canvas was too strong for him to bite his way through. His efforts to get out only had the effect of making the bag roll about on the floor, or occasionally jump into the air, an exhibition that attracted a curious crowd of onlookers on the Dehradun railway platform. Toto remained in the bag as far as Saharanpur, but while grandfather was producing his ticket at the railway turnstile, Toto suddenly poked his head out of the bag and gave the ticket collector a wide grin. So, when the author's grandfather decided that he would take Toto with him to collect his pension from Saharanpur, that time the author was not available, and he could not accompany his grandfather on that trip. But his grandfather told him all the details about that trip. A big black canvas kit was provided for Toto, and there were straws at the bottom, which were now his new home. And he was taken in with such comfort that he never felt any kind of uh, what to say, he never felt any kind of discomfort. Means it was like the comfortable place for him to stay. When the bag was closed, there was no escape. So Toto could not get his hands through the opening, and the canvas was too strong for him to bite. And when the bag was closed and there was no escape, he tried to get out of the bag, but he could not get his hands, and also the bag was too strong that he cannot bite it also. So his efforts to get out only has had the effect of making the bag roll about on the floor or occasionally jump into the air. So he can either roll onto the floor with the bag, or he can jump suddenly out of the bag. This is the only way for him to escape, and this escape was like an exhibition that attracted a huge number of people on the Dehradun railway station. Toto remained in the bag as far as Saharanpur, but while grandfather was producing ticket in the railway turnstile, Toto suddenly moved his head and came out of the bag and gave the ticket collector a wide smile. So the ticket collector was very frightened, and he was surprised to see a monkey. No, he had thought of a dog actually. So we will read it next, that he had thought of a dog, and he has also charged some money for that pet. The poor man was taken aback, but with great presence of mind and much of grandfather's annoyance, he said, "Sir, you have a dog with you. You will have to pay for it accordingly." In vain did grandfather take Toto out of the bag. In vain did he try to prove that a monkey did not qualify as a dog or even as a quadruped. Toto was classified a dog by the ticket collector, and 3 rupees was the sum handed over as his fare. Then grandfather, just to get his own bag, took from his pocket our pet tortoise and said, "What must I pay for this, since you charge for all animals?" The ticket collector looked closely at the tortoise, prodded it with his forefinger, gave grandfather an pleased and triumphant look and said, "No charge, it is not a dog." So when Toto gave a wide smile to the ticket collector, he was taken aback. Actually, he was surprised that how in a bag one can keep their pet animals, and they suddenly came out and gave a wide smile to him. So according to rules, he had to say grandfather that it was a dog and he will have to pay for him. But grandfather was very annoyed. He took Toto out of the bag and tried to prove that it was a monkey, not a dog, or not even animals with 4 legs. Here quadrupt means animals with 4 legs. Toto was classified a dog by the ticket collector because the way he smiled actually looked like a dog. So that's why the grandfather also have to give 3 rupees as the sum for his fare. Then grandfather for his own settlement took the pet tortoise out of his pocket and asked the ticket collector that what should he pay for this. But the ticket collector looked closely at the tortoise, had also given hands to check what is it, and then told grandfather that no charge, it is not a dog. When Toto was finally accepted by grandmother, he was given a comfortable home in the stable where he had for a companion the family donkey, Nana. On Toto's first night in the stable, grandfather paid him a visit to see if he was comfortable. To his surprise, he found Nana with apparent cause pulling at her halter and trying to keep her head as far as possible from a bundle of hay. Grandfather gave Nana a slap across her haunches and she jerked back. Dragging Toto with her, he had fastened onto her long ears with sharp little teeth. Toto and Nana never became friends. So, after uh, after that railway incident, when Arthur's grandmother accepted Toto finally, then he was given a comfortable home in the stable, where he had the companion of the family donkey Nana. On Toto's first night, when Arthur's grandfather paid him a visit to see if he was comfortable, he noticed that Nana was without apparent cause. She was pulling at her halter and trying to keep her head uh, away from the bundles of hay, because we know that when two animals are kept in stable, then there is only a single boundary of branch of wood to keep the animals separate, and they had to eat from bundles of hay which are same for both, because the bundles are kept in middle of the branches and both of them eat from that. So after seeing this, grandfather gave a tight slap on Nana's haunches and she was jerked back. Actually, she came in her sense that what was happening and dragged Toto with her. He had fastened onto her long ears and with his little sharp teeth. Means when Nana was eating the hay, Toto was actually biting his ears like a food. He is totally very mischievous and very clever and very, what I will tell, there are adjectives are less to describe his actions. He is actually biting the donkey's ears as his food. Can you imagine? Toto and Nana can never become friends. A great treat for Toto during cold winter evenings was a large bowl of warm water given him by grandmother for his bath. He would cunningly test the temperature with his hands, then gradually step into the bath, first one foot, then the other, as he had seen me doing, until he was into the water up to his neck. Once comfortable, he would take the soap in his hands or feet and rub himself all over. When the water became cold, he would get out and run as quickly as he could to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. If anyone laughed at him during this performance, Toto's feelings would be hurt and he would refuse to go on with his bath. One day, Toto nearly succeeded in boiling himself alive. So, after that incident with Nana, he was kept in the home only, and in every winter evenings, he was given a treat of large bowl of warm water by grandmother for his bath. He would cunningly test the temperature with his hands, then gradually step into the bath, first one foot, then the other, as he had seen the author doing this, until he was into the water up to his neck. Once comfortable, he would take the soap and rub it gently in his hands and legs and rub himself all over. When the water became cold, he would get out and run to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. If anyone laughed during the procedure or during his bath, then Toto's feelings would be hurt and he would refuse to go with his bath. One day, Toto was nearly succeeded in boiling himself alive. Let us see. A large kitchen kettle had been left on the fire to boil for tea, and Toto, finding himself with nothing better to do, decided to remove the lid. Finding the water just warm enough for a bath, he got in, with his head sticking out from the open kettle. This was just fine for a while, until the water began to boil. Toto then raised himself a little, but finding it cold outside, sat down again. He continued hopping up and down for some time, until grandmother arrived and hauled him half boiled out of the kettle. So one day what happened? A large kitchen kettle had been left on the fire to boil for a tea, and Toto, finding himself, means he was actually roaming here and there, and he found that kettle and saw that he had nothing to do. Then he had thought of doing something interesting, and he had done these things. So he decided to remove the lid, and finding the water just warm enough for bath, he got it. Imagine what kind of mind he has, that the the water is warm and he decided to jump in for having a bath. Like he's like a mad one and nothing else. Monkeys are like that. In my childhood I liked them, but now I just hate them because of these things. Finding the water just warm enough for a bath, he got it, and his head sticking out. So his whole body is into the boiling water and his head is up, like he is observing everything. Until the water began to boil, Toto then raised himself a little, but finding it cold outside, sat down again. So when he raised himself a little, and because the water was boiling, he found that it was cold outside. So he again went down and sat inside. He continued hopping up and down for some time. Actually, the water is boiling, so he also felt that warmness inside the kettle, and also he started hopping up and down to regulate the temperature. Grandmother arrived and hauled him half boiled out of the kettle. So grandmother arrived and took him out of the kettle when he was half boiled. If there is a part of the brain especially devoted to mischief, that part was largely developed in Toto. He was always tearing things to pieces. Whenever one of my aunts came near him, he made every effort to get hold of her dress and tear a hole in it. Yes, it is true that if there is a part of the brain which is actually devoted to mischief, then that part is largely developed in Toto. You can see what kind of things he is doing actually for having fun. Means he is destroying everything. When one of the author's aunt came to visit their house, then he never left any chance to get a hold of their dress and put a hole in it. One day at lunchtime, a large dish of pulao stood in the center of the dining table. We entered the room to find Toto stuffing himself with rice. My grandmother screamed and Toto threw a plate at her. One of my aunts rushed forward and received a glass of water in the face. When grandfather arrived, Toto picked up the dish of pulao and made his exit through a window. We found him in the branches of the jackfruit tree, the dish still in his arms. He remained there all afternoon, eating slowly through the rice, determined on finishing every grain. And then, in order to spite grandmother who had screamed at him, he threw the dish down from the tree and chattered with delight when it broke into 100 pieces. See how much mischievous he is. One day when it was lunchtime and a large dish of pulao was kept there in the dining table, when all of them entered to find Toto stuffing him, when all of them entered the room to find Toto that he was stuffing himself with rice, his grandmother screamed at him and Toto threw a plate at her. See, we also can never thought of this, but Toto threw a plate on her. One of his aunts rushed forward and received a glass of water in the face. So one of Arthur's aunts received a glass of water in grandmother's face so that she might feel well. When grandfather arrived, Toto picked up the dish of pulao and made his exit through a window. And all of them found him in the branches of the jackfruit tree, the dish still in his hands. He remained there all afternoon and finished the whole pulao all by himself, determining to finish every grain by his own. And then, in order to spite grandmother, means in order to take a revenge his from grandmother who had screamed at him, he threw the dish down from the tree and smiled in a smiled in delight when it was broken into hundreds of pieces. See how much clever and how much sensible he is. He knew that he threw if he threw that plate from the tree, then the plate will be broken and he would have more fun by seeing grandmother actually who had actually screamed at him a lot will suffer, and he will smile with delight. Obviously, Toto was not the sort of pet we could keep for long. Even grandfather realized that. We were not well to do and could not afford the frequent loss of dishes, clothes, curtains, and wallpaper. So, grandfather found the Tonga driver and sold Toto back to him for only 3 rupees. So, after all these incidents, they came to realize that Toto was not the kind of pet they could keep for long. Even his grandfather also realized that, because they were not well to do, means like they don't have much, but what they have is better for them. So they cannot afford the frequent loss of dishes, clothes, curtains, and wallpapers. Yeah, obviously, every middle class families cannot afford everything all the time. It is only possible for rich families. So his grandfather found that Tonga driver and sold Toto back to him for only 3 rupees. So he had brought him with the sum of 5 rupees, but he had sold him with the sum of 3 rupees because his grandfather was also disturbed about all the mischiefs of Toto and what he is doing, and in future what he might do. Actually, they haunted and frightened him the most, and that's why he decided to return him to the Tonga driver. So in here our story ends, and in the next video I will give you all the question answers. Now let us see the summary, word meanings and synonyms. Okay, so let's see the summary of the adventures of Toto. The story is all about the charming tales of the monkey Toto, who teaches us about the unpredictability of wild animals as pets and importance of freedom for all living creatures. The story, told with humor and affection, vividly portrays the antics of a pet monkey and its interactions with the narrator's family. So, we read the whole story of the adventures of Toto by Ruskin Bond, and we got to know more about Toto and his mischievous actions. He sets an example about the unpredictability of wild animals, how wild animals can behave and how their behavior changes if they see their loved ones. It also happens with the human baby also. When they actually see their loved ones, their behavior is generally changed, and they don't know what to do, and they do all the mischievous things that is not expected from them. So the adventures of Toto gives us a detailed explanation of the unpredictability of wild animals, their behavior and changes according to the environment. It also portrays the humor and affection regarding the Toto about the author and his family. His grandfather was very happy when he brought Toto, but at times when Toto's unpredictable actions surprised the author's grandfather, he was actually forced to return Toto to that Tonga driver from where he had brought Toto. So when Toto came with the interaction of author's grandparents' family, he was actually very mischievous, and he started doing all his actions with more energy and with more affections. So this story teaches us about how interactions with wild animals change them according to the environment. So let us see the word meanings. Feeding trough, a large container for feeding animals. Tonga, horse cart. Anglo-Indian, a person relating to both Britain and India. Pickled, food that is preserved in vinegar. Synonyms: preserved, conserved, marinated. Scooping up, lifting. Synonyms: hoisted, raised, elevated. Peg, a hook. Ornamental, decorative. Synonyms: attractive, showy. Naked, uncovered. Synonyms: nude or wrenched, broke. Synonyms: tug, tear, pull. Socket, attachment. Synonyms: opening, alcove, cleft. Shreds, cut into thin slices. Synonyms: scrap, tatter, snip. Sociably, in a friendly manner. Synonyms: friendly, hospitable. Abode, home. Synonyms: house. Turnstile, a mechanical gate consisting of revolving horizontal arms fixed to a vertical post, allowing only one person at a time to pass through. Annoyance, to anger someone. Synonyms: irritation, vexation, exasperation. So with this, we come to an end of this story, The Adventures of Toto. I hope you have understood it very well, because I have given the line by line explanation with summary, word meanings and synonyms. So I will give the question answers shortly with some extra question answers. So till then, stay connected. If you have liked this video, then hit the like button, share it with your friends and families. Do subscribe to my channel. Bye.